Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We have a special guest on the phone lines right now. Live from the White House, we have Attorney Lee Merrit on the line. Good morning,
Lee,
brother.
what's up, King?
Hey, good morning, guys. How's it going?
How are
Doing
you,
good,
brother? I'm
doing
blessed,
good.
black, and highly favored. Now, what is this executive order that Trump is signing today on police reform?
So I'm in Washington, D.C. for two reasons. Trump is signing an executive order that includes some things that we asked for. When I say we, as a people, we've been negotiating for a comprehensive police misconduct bill, not only from the White House, but from on local levels and from the White House. The one that Trump plans to sign today includes a national registry of bad cops, a federal registry where they track bad cops so they can't transfer from department to department. You all remember the case of Antoine Rose, 17-year-old shot in his back 3 times in Pittsburgh. He was shot in the back by an officer who had transferred into his apartment the same day that he transferred in and swore in, he killed Antoine Rose.
Wow.
And so this kind of database would allow departments to check that and have that information available to them before they swear in bad cops. You have another component, a major component for me is I believe that we in Charlamagne and actually the whole Breakfast Club last time we spoke, we talked about how the war on drugs leads to so many officer-involved shootings because they have a mission of going into the inner city and killing people and taking them to jail. The executive order will transfer resources to the health department so that we treat poverty, homelessness, and addiction as a sickness with social workers, with people other than guns to replace
And mental health issues.
Yeah, and mental health issues, of course. Obviously, mental health, drugs, and poverty are a deadly combination, but the resolution to that is not more guns. You need more services to those people. So the executive order will direct resources to the services to meet the needs of individuals and communities. And there is an additional resource for police officers. To be honest, the rest of the bill is what they call window dressing and fluff, but it has some key elements that I think that will benefit our community. I will take that conversation to the Senate immediately following the meeting at the White House, and we'll discuss some more substantive changes that the community has been fighting for.
Yeah, I saw
Now,
last
what is
week
the,
Donald Trump was saying this is the opposite of defunding the police.
Honestly, I don't think Donald Trump understands the executive order himself much. But it's not the opposite of defunding the police. It's not providing additional funds to the police. It's moving resources where it belongs. But we can't depend on all our solutions from the White House. The White House doesn't have control of a great deal of purse strings. The truth is that's going to come from the legislator, and that's why we're meeting with the Senate immediately following.
Now, you're going to be speaking at the White
Trump's-
House today. Will you get a chance to talk to Trump? Will you get a chance to pull him to the side and say, let me talk to you for a minute?
We will. So that's a major component of it. I was concerned about bringing myself and a lot of the families I represent to the White House for a photo op.
Right.
Because that would be beneficial to the Trump campaign and would do very little for us. So we arranged a private meeting this morning with the families and myself, a round table, no cameras, and we will be able to talk face-to-face with Trump about some of the issues that these families are facing.
What's the major issue you're going to talk to him about this morning? What's the one thing you're going to say?
Reform.
Honestly, I think this all comes back down to the war on drugs. I think Trump can end the war on drugs by executive order. I think his executive order can go a lot further. For example, legalizing marijuana or taking it out of the Schedule A drug category. When Charlamagne had a chance to speak with Mr. Biden, or Vice VP Biden, that was something that came up, and Mr. Biden had recommended a comprehensive study, which would have sort of protracted the war on drugs. Most of the drug arrests that we see are for low-level quantities of marijuana. The vast majority of police work has to do with low-level quantities of drugs. Only 5% of police work has to do with anything violent or the things that we've expressed, major concern about. Like, what do we do if the cops are gone and, someone breaks in your home? Well, it would free up police officers to focus on things like that. and move the fight for dealing with drugs in the streets to people who actually have the skills and resources to deal with it. So that would be a major emphasis of mine. But I'm bringing families like Atatiana Jefferson and Ahmaud Arbery's family, and they get to talk to them about their personal experiences and their region. There's so much corruption within the legal apparatus that it's regional, but it has some federal implications as well.
Now, Lee, I see people upset that you are, going to be there. They're upset that, they think Trump's going to politicize it, which I'm sure he will, just like any politician would during an election year. Is this executive order worth you being there and speaking in front of Trump? And I think William Barr is going to be there as well, right?
William Barr will be there, the president of the FOP. I'm sure that he plans to fill the room with a lot of blue coats. So various members of police unions, et cetera. And these are the people that are killing us. These are people who are promulgating the policies that have led to chaos in our communities, 1,100 deaths. By gun violence alone, tens of thousands of people who are killed in other ways, maimed, injured, et cetera. So yeah, these are the people that.
Is it worth it?
I don't like it. Yeah, it because these are the people that create the policies that have targeted our communities. Yeah, we need to talk to them. We don't need to be nice to them. We need to tell them the truth. And so it's not a photo op time and say, this is not a time to pat them on the back and celebrate what they have done. But they need to hear from these families that their policies have injured and devastated.
Yeah, I think that's very important for those families to go in there and express their pain. You know what I'm saying? I think those families should be able to express their pain on any major platform. And I mean, it's no bigger platform than being at the White House. So I would love for them to go in there and tell those devils to their face, you know what I'm saying, how they feel about what's going on in this country.
And that's exactly right. We're bringing, we're bringing families from really across the intersection of America. We have Jamel Roberson, the security guard, the good guy with the gun that they all should love, right? Because these are NRA guys. He was shot in his back by a police officer after stopping a mass shooting. We're bringing one UNT Denton, a student. His father was a chaplain for the local police department. He was hoping to become a police officer. He suffered from a mental health crisis due to a head trauma that he suffered in a car accident. And they didn't know how to deal with mental health. The local Denton PD didn't know how to deal with mental health, so they shot him to death. But these are people that when they say back the blue, you got to ask, what about Darius Tarver? When they say, all you need is a good guy with a gun, you have to ask, what about Jamel Roberson? And they will have to be faced with these people's families, with their children, with their mothers. And I think that's going to be it takes the politics out of it and shows them the reality of how dangerous policing is in America.
All right. And what are you going to be speaking about in the Rose Garden? Because they say you're scheduled to speak in the actual Rose Garden. What are you going to be speaking about?
Just that we live in the deadliest police culture in the modern world, that there's no nation that kills or incarcerates more of its citizens, that this is a national crisis, a genocide, that we have to do something about it, that the executive order begins to take steps in that direction, but we must go much, much further.
And Lee, please, man, don't bite your tongue. You get up there and you let them know systemic racism exists. You let them know systemic racism exists in the police department. And until we can dismantle that mechanism of white supremacy, nothing is going to change in this country. Don't bite your tongue, Lee.
That's exactly it.
All right. Well, thank you for checking in, Lee.
Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you guys.
All right. Attorney Lee Merrit, it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.